Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley. This is another Staffordshire church. This is right on the edge of Staffordshire. Not very far from here is Shropshire. This is All Saints Forton. Now, what a fascinating building. You can see here that you've got behind me, you've got this 18th century wall with these big arch windows and these round windows above the doors, and then you've got this, and this is a medieval tower. Now the lower part is 13th century, the top bit of course is 15th century, but a nice bit of local perpendicular here. What happened? Well, 1720s, the local landowner does a big rebuilding of the south wall, and thankfully the Victorians didn't destroy it, because if you watch this channel for any length of time, anything previous videos, you'll know I'm quite fond of the 18th century and that period really before the Victorians get going and before people get in their heads that the only good church is a Gothic church. When people are willing to do things like this, it's a marvellous building, and so we start outside because this is where you get this wonderful contrast. When we go inside we'll see exactly the same thing, so let's do that. So here we are inside All Saints. You can see immediately behind me the Georgian continues with these lovely Tuscan columns. The nave has basically been rebuilt in the 18th century. The aisle, there's an aisle obviously, you see the aisle through there, that is still medieval, still basically 14th century. The chancel is a bit of a mixture because it's got a bit of both attached. So we'll have a look around and see what we can see. It's all quite interesting. So here we are, we start at the west end as usual, of course. I mean, no point in it being usual otherwise. Here we have the font. I do like the font. Unfortunately, it's currently in rather poor condition. It needs fixing. It has a crack towards the base. You can see that. It's a nice example of this Georgian birdbath type. Nice bit of marble there. The vestry is in the tower base. We have here the war memorial, Forton roll of service. So this is all the ones who served. The people who are in red, they're the ones who died. I think. There's a number in. There isn't a key, but it looks to me as if it's the one and the other ones in gold than the ones who were decorated, I wonder. But you see at the top we've got those in the Royal Navy, and William Forrester, HMS Marlborough, John Venables, HMS Argyle, Ernest Whitmore, HMS Attentive. I'm pretty sure Attentive was a destroyer and Marlborough a pre-dreadnought. Not sure what Argyle was. Maybe Argyle was a cruiser, but don't quote me on that. We've got this nice, okay, that screen is not the original Georgian screen, but someone has understood respect the character of the building. So we have a Georgian style screen. We have, originally there had been box pews. You can see the level they could come up to with the plinths on the columns. The box pews would have been taller than the current pews, which are effectively, actually, I think the box pews cut down these ones, so they've been reduced in height. It became less fashionable to have these high box pews at the period. Again, a boxed off area at the back here, vestry perhaps. This is going to be the kitchen area, that will open up and you've got a kitchen and a cupboard. Quite good. Here is the 14th century chancel. You can see how it's had its roof level raised in the 18th century to make it a bit taller. And there's the organ at the east end, and we have here memorial of for Sir George Menteth Bowie, 9th Baronet, died 1959. So the Bowie is a number of memorials here to those who served in the war. So we've got Second Lieutenant 2nd Battalion Coldstream Guards, John Fletcher Bowie, killed in action at sea. August the 31st, 1940, age 21 years. David Mervyn Bowie Druce, Pilot Officer RAF, killed in action over Tobruk, October the 15th, 1940, age 22 years. And finally, Mary Ursula Bowie, Junior Commander, Auxiliary Territorial Service, First Aid Nursing Yeomanry, died on active service January the 20th, 1945, age 25 years. Now, the interesting thing here is this, that the First Aid Nursing Yeomanry, although it sounds pretty innocuous, was used as a cover by SOE, Special Operations Executive. So there's the question, was Mary Ursula Bowie a nurse, or was she, and I think that's very likely in this case, was she actually a secret agent who was killed helping the resistance? It's entirely possible that that it says that she's a nurse, but that was just a cover and she was a spy, which would have been quite interesting. Here we have memorial Alfred Fletcher Copplestone Bowie, Commander RN, who went down in HMS Defence in the Battle of Jutland, May 31st, 1916, aged 33 years. So Commander, he would then have been probably the executive officer. And HMS Defence was one of the cruisers. She was an armoured cruiser. She's sent into battle in the wrong battle. The armoured cruisers are not really capable of going against dreadnoughts, and that's what she does. She goes up against battleships, and she's literally blown to pieces by the German fleet. And John Fletcher Bowie, Private Queen's Royal West Surrey Regiment, reported missing near Ypres, aged 35, and Anketel Edward Fletcher Bowie, Lieutenant of the Rifle Brigade, drowned at the sinking of the SS Leinster off the coast of Ireland. So he's torpedoed then, his troop ship's torpedoed, and he's killed October the 10th, 1918, aged 26 years. And some of these memorials, you know a little bit about the history of the war. It's quite affecting. Because All Saints means you can have all kinds of saints in your windows. And at the end here we have this glorious memorial. This is a memorial of Sir Thomas Scrimshire, Knight of Aquilate, and his wife Anne, daughter of Ralph Sneed of Kiel, and nephews of their 5 sons. Sir Thomas died 1633, Lord of the Manor of the Mere, and built the first hall at Aquilate Hall. And there he is. So you've got, this is 17th century. You're still in that period when, if you are a knight, you want to be shown in full armour in your memorial. And so here he is in full armour, and his wife just trying to elevate the camera tripod here so we can get a good view of her. It's difficult to get her, and I apologise if my voice sounds a long way away, because it is a long way away. So there we have them. As usual, she's got her nice dress on, his armour. And then you've got their daughters there. There they are, and each is slightly different. They will be taken from life to some extent. And their sons, all with their broad collars and their long coats. And looking west. So, we go back into the nave. Around the pulpit is the lower part of the old 3-decker, which is always nice. We have here the arms. So I've got a date. Yes, 1723. So the royal arms are the same date as that wall that they are mounted on. Another Bowie here. A bit dark here, so move a bit closer. And massive windows. Anketel Fenton Fletcher Bowie, Major 81st Regiment, died at Umritsa, India, 1856, age 37. Military family, of course. And little Easter garden. And there's the pulpit. They even kept part of the pulpit's stair, which is nice. I do think some of this looks like it must be older, but it's had things done with it more recently. More Bowies. The east window is Victorian, although the stone around it does look to be medieval. Lots of Bowies you've got here. The Reverend John Fenton Fletcher Bowie, second son of Sir John Fenton Bowie, Baronet, later Aqualate, and for 15 years rector of this parish. And he is 1811, and because his epitaph is very typical for that sort of 1811. If you're not an evangelical, the unostentatious discharge of his duties, the affability of his disposition, the simplicity of his manners, and the integrity of his life won for him the undivided esteem of those committed to his charge and secured the constant friendship of all with whom he was more closely connected. So there we are. Lots of Bowies here. They are the big house family at Aqualate. And nice, look at that. That is a Norman window. Ha ha. And here we have those who fell in the Great War. Well, that allows us then to interpret what's going on in the window there. The organ has a really interesting case. It's hard to see because it's behind this screen, but look at that. It's black and gold. Very quite unusual. I can't see a date on it. I'm not going to go round there because you're probably not supposed to. So there we are, looking west. It's notable with the War Memorial that although we've got the Bowies of Aqualate with their memorials on the wall, they're not mentioned on the actual War Memorial. There we go, long way west. Bit of box pew panelling round the east end here. Bit of Georgian. You've got this Victorian altar with these. The idea of these curtains was to make sure that the priest, as he would regard himself, had to stand on the west side with his back to the congregation. Here they've been drawn aside so he can stand on the east side when necessary. The east window is a war memorial. We've got St. George and St. Louis, of course, St. Louis for France, because France were our great allies in the war. And one of the things that the Great War does is it makes England and France friends in a way they hadn't been before. And here we have another nice big memorial, early 20th century, well, mid-20th century, but it's designed to look like, imitating the style of the 18th century, which again is a good thing in a building that is very largely 18th century, and certainly in its general style. You can see there how the ceiling, nice flat ceiling, interferes with the tower arch, which is fine. As I've always said, churches are living buildings. So that's the inside. Let's have a look around the outside now. And so here we are outside again here at Forton, All Saints. And again, you've got this lovely Georgian facade here that faces the road. Now, step back, you can see this bit of medieval work at the east end. And then, of course, you've got the medieval tower at the west end. So we'll have a look around and I'll point out some of the more important features of the outside. So here we go. Obviously, the thing that always strikes people about Forton is this Georgian facade. And you can see at the west there, that lovely tower. The lower part is 13th century, as I said in the introduction, and the upper part is 15th. Nice bit of perpendicular, the top there, with its restored towers. It's just after St. George's Day, so we have St. George's flag flying there. And the east end, you can see immediately we go from this more modern, because of course it's 18th century work, to this much more weathered medieval stonework. And you can see that buttress sticking out. That's kind of where the medieval wall was, and then this Georgian wall is just carried forward from the nave to obliterate the distinction. We've got more of these Bowie memorials. That's quite good there. You see there we've got a vestry at the west end, east east end rather, and beyond that very nice medieval aisle. Again, all these big memorials along here. Let's try and get up onto this upper level because there's a terrace here, and I don't have to go back. We have to go back. Nothing for it but to go back, but we'll carry on along here for the moment. And you can see there's the north aisle. Here we have William Fieldhouse of Forton and Newport Salop, Salop being an old spelling of an old way of referring to Shropshire. Died at Buxton, July 20th, 1890, age 70 something, I think 72 years, with Christ, which is far better. And obviously at Buxton to take the waters, as one did. Big memorials up there. The churchyard's been extended, of course, because it's filled up. It's notable that there's a big churchyard, big burial ground on the north side, which is unusual, and again speaks of how 18th century, 19th century ago, they got these medieval superstitions. They got all this space, we need to bury people, and you just bury people there because that's what you do. You see there immediately here that line above the windows where they've extended this medieval aisle upwards to make for a taller structure, something that's more in keeping with the nave. Trying to get a bit more sort of double church feel through this churchyard. Leylandii. Bad idea, Leylandii. But there we are. North door. These nice 14th century windows. And again, that line above the window, see that? That's the old roof line. Came down all the way to there. And they've raised it to make for a taller roof. What do we see here? Again, you can just see a bit of a roof line there, but that's going to be to do with, I would think, a lean-to that's been demolished. 13th century, 15th century, very good. And coal hole, I expect. Well, probably shed actually. And that's the side of Forton Hall, the manor house. One of these smaller manor houses. So more manageable these days, because the big places you needed a legion of servants, and of course no one has legions of servants these days. And so right the way around we come, past the tower doorway and to the front door of the church, balanced of course by the door beyond that isn't used anymore. That would have been the what's the word? The priest's door, the clergy door. So, lovely view as well over the River Valley, over towards Shropshire and over Aqualate Way, I think. And so here we go, there you go. All Saints Forton. It's a lovely building, one of my favourites in Staffordshire. But Staffordshire has so many lovely churches. And this one, we're just off the main road to Newport. Newport, in fact, is just over there. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed coming out here again. Haven't been here for a few years, but you know, one thing and another the last couple of years. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.